Thank you, Christina. Let me share my screen. Yep.
Okay, hello everyone. Good evening. So today here we are, me and Guna, to walk you through with all the AI Associates Developer Series. Obviously, we all very curious about to know what is the AI, what is the ML, how to integrate that with respect to our day-to-day automation life and all of those things. Definitely, this series has been designed to learn all of those things. But to go to that step, definitely as a developer, we need to learn from the scratch. We need to learn some of the very basic concepts. So today here, we both are here to to give you an insights about what is the orchestrator. How can the orchestrator can help you as a developer? What all we can do? How can we utilize the orchestrator in our day-to-day maintenance with respect to the UiPath automations and the support and also your development? And also the integration services. Definitely, the integration services is one of the key when it comes to the automation these days because we are integrating so many third party applications seamlessly, and it is one of the main requirement also we have seen so far. So today we are going to take you guys and walk you through each and every steps, what and all how you can actually utilize with respect to the orchestrator storage buckets and so far, and also with respect to the integration services, how quickly you can build the integration services without having any of the challenges or any such, or also how to use the queues, maybe assets, how can you pass it from one folder to another folder. All of these things are the very basic, and the I would say it would be as a RPA developer, it would be a kind of asset which we learn for ourselves to keep our automation journey very easily. So we are gonna take you guys through all of these concepts today. So let's start. So with respect to the keynotes of the speakers, I'm myself Divyashree Muddagangaiah. So I work as a team lead in the TCS, and I'm a UiPath MVP. And we have a Gunashekhar. He works as a senior consultant in EY, and he is a UiPath MVP for 2023 and 24. So we both are here to walk you through all the sessions for today.
Yep.
Before we start with respect to the orchestrator or the integration services, can I go for the next slide,
Yep.
Guna? So let's just do the very quick recap. Maybe I'll walk you through few, and Guna wants to add anything. You can feel free to pitch in, Guna. So recap of first day, second day, and today is the third day. Like let's see like what and all we have learned so far. Is like we have learned what is an RPA, like how does it is differentiate between the robots and the software robots, how it is actually standing out of the crowd when it comes to the word called robots in into an industries. What are the benefits? What are the automations? How can we create an ROI using a automations? So these are the kind of basics which we have learned uh, in our first sessions. And
And
also we have learned, yeah, go ahead, Chukuna.
yeah, and also we have learned like how to build your first automation in Studio, UiPath Studio, like one of the main component of UiPath.
Right.
And in Studio, like you might have seen how to create variables, arguments, and then constants, and then difference between those, and then how to manage your strings, and then some of the data types like strings and then data table. And then yeah, and then like
I
we
think the data table is one of the important and the beautiful things, like you can build your own, you can generate it from the different things. I think we have already gone through about the build, generate, and all other things. I would suggest you guys to go ahead and work with the data table because that makes developer life very easy, and that's the only concept that can makes the developer life very desirable also sometimes.
yeah.
So yeah.
There was a question yesterday in the session one. So, how many like row items that can be stored in a UiPath data like data table? So so that's the answer, guys. Like maximum number of rows that data table can store in UiPath Studio is, so that's a number like.
Yep.
And
So
then
make sure, guys, when you're reading any of the data from the Excel or your workbook or from any of the database, your rows is going beyond this. Your automation might break. So just have a look into this number and then make sure you guys have a list. If it is more than that, make sure you guys are going to break by using some queries or something, and then you can make use of our automation to work easily.
Yep.
So
And then link to the
go ahead,
session
Guna.
we'll be having in the session one that page. So where you can go and then see the in the program page. Yeah. And then come to the next slide, agenda. Okay, so thank you, Divyashree. Like, let me take you guys through like what we are going to discuss today. I'm going to take you guys like what's Orchestrator, and then how you can use Orchestrator resources in Studio, and then how you can create libraries, and then how you can use the storage buckets, and then doing some actions on the storage buckets in Orchestrator. Like we'll see that in the real time, like practical way. And Divyashree will taking us through like integration services, and then what's the integration services, how you can connect the third-party applications to the actual automations, and then how you can use those functionalities. Yeah. So coming to Orchestrator. So what is Orchestrator? UiPath has its own three main components like Studio, Orchestrator, and then Assistant. So where Studio, where you build your automations, and then once you build automations, you need to maintain or you need to publish or you need to run those automations. And then for that, we have another component called Orchestrator. So that's the use of it. Like it's a web-based application, and then that manages all your automations, and then you can run your automations from there, and then you can store assets or queues, or you can do like vast functionalities using the orchestrator. So let's see like what we can, some capabilities of orchestrator. So in orchestrator, you can provision your you can provision, deploy, and then trigger, and then monitor, then measure, and then track or see the what we are doing using automations in like attended and then unattended robots. Attended is something attended robot where the human actions required, like let's take there is a business process, so in between there is a approval required, and then so that's where like user comes and then provides approval, and then that remaining process will be automated. And then so before human approval, so there is a process that kind of automated, so that is a unattended automation. So unattended robot is something where you don't need any human interaction, so the entire business process from starting to end will be like everything done by the automation, like through the robot. So all these things, when we're doing this through orchestrator, so which will be very secure and then productive and then the trackable as well. Let's take you have an automation which failed, and then you wanted to see like what went wrong, and then like that's where you comes into like logs, and then you can see like what happened to the orchestrator, like that process, and then go through each and every logs as well. And then these logs can be like auditable, like if something auditing is going on, and then we wanted to see like how the automations are running, so logs can be used as art for audit purpose as well. And so these are the few capabilities of orchestrator. So let me quickly, yeah, let me quickly show you like how the orchestrator looks like. Okay, let me go back. So try to create an account in cloud.uipath.com, which is trial version, and then you will get it as a free for like maybe 3 months. I'm not sure like how long it is. And then click on these 9 dots, and then you can see multiple components which are available like Studio, Orchestrator, and then Actions. So I'll click on the Orchestrator here. So this is the landing page of an orchestrator. So in my view, orchestrator is consist of like two things. One is your tenants, the another one is your folder. So what is mean by tenant and then folders? So let me show you guys. Okay, you have an organization. So I'm just trying to explain this image. So you have a company. Let's take, we have a company called UiPath. And then in UiPath, we have different business units. Let's take finance, sales, and then HR. Under finance, you have like multiple automations, payroll, and then claims, reimbursement. And then under sales, you have multiple automations like product sales, and then marketing, and then employee onboarding, offer letter for the HR. And then, so these are the some automations. In the table, if you see the tenant is your company, which is UiPath, and then the folders are finance, sales, and then HR. So this is like how you decide the tenant and then the folders. So tenants are meant to be like a replica of your organization hierarchy. And then let me go back to the orchestrator. Yeah, you can have your multiple tenants. Like it's not a single tenant. You can create multiple tenants, and then all the tenants are clearly isolated. It's not like if something is happening in the one tenant and it won't reflect in another tenant. It's kind of a completely different tenants. Um, in real time, how we can use this? Let's take you have a development environment, and then you have a test environment, and then you have production environment. You can have this as a three different tenants, and then all your development stuff can be done in the development tenant. Once it move to the testing phase, so that's where you move everything to the testing tenant, and then production tenant will be very secure, and then so that will be your actual you know the production runs is happening. So that's how you can
Mm.
differentiate your tenants, like development and then testing or UAT or production. So that's in the real time use case, right? In real time. So let me see what we have in the tenants. Okay, so under tenants, you have like robots, like what are the robots, like how many robots we have, and then we have folders. All these folders you can create here, like which is, let me go back to the slide. Yeah, so you can create folders like finance, sales, and HR from this tab, and then you have monitoring, manage access. That's where you provide like who can be accessible, and then how he should be accessed, and then what are the things that a user can access. And then you have missions, so which is like how many missions you can be there, and then you can add those missions, all those things. And then we have some things here, packages, yeah, which is more important. Like when you develop an automation, and then so that's where like you will publish that from the studio, and then if you publish it as a package, this is the way that you say it, the package sits. I'll show you in like how we can use these packages and then everything. And then coming to folders, folders is something subdivisions are business units of your organization. Let's take, I have HR. Now I want to create a folder under this tenant as payroll, or was that, yeah, let's take sales, create it. Yeah, you can see like the new folder is created, and then everything, 1 second, what are the like all the tabs that you can see in the HR or my workspace, everything can be like, it's kind of a different business unit in your entire orchestrator under this tenant. That's how you can create a folders. And then yeah, let me go through the slides. Yeah. Yeah. What are the different orchestrator resources we have? Okay. There are assets, and then queues, processes. So which can be like, I'll show you like what's assets and then queues. So these are all the few resources that were available in Orchestrator, and then you can create it, and then you can use those in your automations. So let me see what is assets. Go back here. So let me work on my workspace here, and then assets. So assets is a shared variable. Like let's take you have a automation which is going to use any of the URL to launch any web-based application or something. And then we don't want to hard code that URL in the code. So the like you can put it in a configure, you can create it as an asset, and then that can be used in the multiple automations under that folder. So let's take let me put it this way. Okay, let's see. Like I wanted to launch this page, but I want this to be called from the orchestrator asset. So I have built a workflow. Let me show you guys this. I have built a simple workflow where it will take a URL of that web page, and then which is going to launch, and then which will check whether that application has launched or not, and then show you a message box whether it launched or not. So let me run this one. Let's close the run file. Sorry, it's taking time. Yeah. Yeah. So it just launched, and then now we are expecting a message box saying that is yeah, here we go. This is on my other screen. Acme page launched. Okay. Now let's go back to the studio, and then I want to get this URL from the asset. Okay. Let's create an asset in the orchestrator. Let's say create an asset. Okay, let me go back here. So here you can see on your top right, you can there is an option to create an asset. And then create an asset. Then let's say Acme URL, and then let's get the URL from the studio. No the codes, don't need it since it's just string. And yeah, so when you create asset, there are multiple data types that asset can store in it. One is text, which is your string, and then boolean, true or false, and then integer, so which is like numbers or something, and then credentials, where let's say you have a application where you wanted to log in, like username and password. So these were like you can put it as a credential, and then it will ask you for the username and password. That I'm going to show you that as well. So create as a text, and then you have stored the value in it, and then create it. Okay, we have the asset here. Since like I'm an old school UiPath guy, what I used to do, so whenever I wanted to use an asset, so I used to come here, and then I was just doing something like this: get asset, and then get the orchestrator folder path here, and then asset. So now we have all the intelligence and then available. Like earlier, it was like I used to come here and then copy and then put it in the code, saying that. So this is asset that I wanted to call. Sorry, something like this. Now you don't have to do all these things now. Okay, so let's take. There are different panels in your studio, and then you might have seen in the session one like activities, and then project snippets, and then the designer panel. So on your left, there is an important, like most useful panel. You can say your data manager. So this is where you can see all your orchestrator resources which are available. I've created an asset at my URL, just drag drop into this. And then it will suggest you like what are all the activities that are supporting to that asset. Okay, let's take, I want to get that asset. You don't have to do anything. It will automatically select the folder from where it is getting, like this one, and then the asset name. So now let's store this into a variable since we are already storing this here. Let's put this, store this into this one. Save. Let's comment out this one. No, we don't need this. Okay. Now what we have done, we have created an asset, and then we have stored the URL in an asset, and then we have linked that asset in the studio, and then trying to run that. You said it's closed. Yeah, it's closed. Let's run this. Yeah, here you go. So it got the, so it just fetched the URL from the asset, and then it's tried to launch the same website, and then it found that page, and then that's where it says like my page launched. Okay, so this is how you can store your assets and then call your assets over there. And then I have created one more workflow just to show you like how you can store the credentials. Acme login. Okay, so this is where like I'm just trying to let me this one. So now the page is launched, and then I wanted to log in into this Acme page, and then the things that I have used in the login, I have a log message which says like the is going to start, and then I'm typing the email and then password, and then I'm clicking on the login. So this is like 3 activities that I have used, and then at the end I'm saying that at my login flow ended, like I can say login successful or something. Let me run this so that you can see like how it's going to log in into this. You can see that it has entered the username and then password, and then clicked on login. It is inside it. Now let me log out, and then I wanted to get these two, like username and password, from the orchestrator. Let me go back here and then create an asset, and let's take Acme Reds. The type will be credential, and then the just put your let me copy my username and then the password. Create. Okay, now we have created the credentials, and then let's go back to the studio, and then where is assets? You don't see the credential here. Just refresh it. Yeah, just came up. Now let's create credentials, and this is the activity that I want, and then let's see what all the properties we have here. So it's asking us to store the username and then password. Let's create two variables from here. Want to like username, which is string, which is fine. Enter, and let's create another variable. Saying that password, but I want to like change the data type of the password. It is a secure string, so let's change the data type of it. Here you go. This one. Now, from the get credential, it is asking us to store the username, and then password. We got the credentials into a variables. Then let's remove the hard-coded variables here, hard-coded things, sorry, and then password. Secure string, secure string. Here we go. Yeah, that's all. So now what we have done, like we have created a credential asset, and then we are calling calling that credential into the studio, and then storing that into the variables, and then passing that into the activities. So let me run this. Then we have logged out from here. Then file. That's all. So you just enter username and then password, then enter into the Acme login page. So that's how you can call your assets, and then multiple data types like text, boolean, integer, and then credential types in it. There is another thing that I want to explain you. Like, let's take you have asset, and then I wanted these assets to be like in the HR folder. How we can do that? Like, instead of copying and then creating again, like going to the folder, then let me go back to the HR, and then I don't see any of the assets in this. So I wanted these assets should be there in the HR folder. Okay, and then let's take this one and then manage links. And then I want this address should be there in the HR folder and then update. Continue. Now let's see that we got in the set. So this is how you can link a Orchestrator resource across the folders. Okay, so that's an asset. So keep your questions ready, like anything related to asset in the chat, then we'll try to answer those. And coming back to the slide, yeah, so queues. What is queue? Like the next orchestrator resource that we have, very important one, is queues. So queue is a container that allows you to store unlimited number of items in it. And then queue item can store multiple data types like string, integer, or like anything in it. And then queues are, when you use the queues, you can handle like complex automation. Let's take invoice automation. Like you will get like thousands of invoices in a day. And then to keep track of those invoices, you can create a queue, then store the invoice information in it, and then access those, and then do your automations at the downstream process. And then it will give you the proper status, whether it is successful or failed. And then if it is failed, why it got failed, those stuff and all. You can manage all those things in the queues. Let's see how we can use the queues and data into queue. Yeah, I have created a workflow, and then let me show you guys. I took a simple example. I have an Excel file spreadsheet which is having a data like this, and then I'm sorry, yeah. This is some data that I'm using. I just created a test data, and then name is city, and then company. Okay. Now I wanted to read this data table, and then I wanted to add the data into the queue. Okay. So let's see first how we can add the details into the queue. Sorry, how we can create the queue. Let me close this. Let's work on the workspace. We have a queues data tab, and then add queue here. And then when you're trying to add queue, it will ask you the queue name. Let's take my first queue. And then I wanted to like give you like what are the parameters that is important here. Name is a mandatory one. Like you have to give your name of the queue. And then when you, there are additional options here. When you say enforce unique reference, the queue won't allow duplicate items to be there in that. Let's take, we have Pawan. And then if I have the same row here, it won't add that data into that again if the unique reference is enabled in it. Okay, let's say this. So that's the use of this one. Then if auto retry is required, and then you can say like failed items, and then how many retries that you required. You can say like 3, 4, like how many times that you want. So by default, it will be like failed items, and then it will be like 1. Yeah, those are all the some important things that I use in real time. Let's create this queue. Okay, I have queue here. Let me go back to the studio. I'm reading this Excel file, the sheet one, and then storage bucket.xlsx. And then let's see, I don't see any queues. Let's refresh it. Yeah, you can see the first queue here. So let's drag drop into this, and then you'll see like multiple activities that is supporting the queue functionality. And then now I want to add, let's say bulk add items. So which will read that entire, and then it will give you it as a data table. And then let's add entire data table into the queue. Okay, so when I'm reading this, I have stored this data. Let me go to the properties, Excel file, and then reading that range, this range, entire range from this one, and then storing that into the DT and then Q data. And then let's give this into the Q data. Okay, let me give you like brief intro about like what this activity does. Bulk data queue items, like it will add a data table of once you read the data table, which is having like 100 items in it, it will directly add like bulk upload into the queue. And then we have some other activities to add data into the queue, like add transaction item and then add queue item as well. Like you can use these two according to your requirement, and then you can add that. Let me run this. I don't have anything in the queue. Let me show you guys the transactions. It's empty. Let's run this one. Yeah, it's done. Let's see whether we have any transaction yet. Let's refresh it. Yeah, you can see like there are 5 items in the queue. 5, right? Yeah, there are 5 items, like 5 rows in the spreadsheet, and then there are 5 items in this. So let's see like how it looks like, how it saves. I didn't specify like what's the name or what's the like column names, anything. So it just took it from the spreadsheet and saying that name, age, city, and then company, then which is exactly from the spreadsheet, and then added here. Okay, so that's how you can add the data into the queues. And then let me see, like, let me show how you can utilize that data, like how you can access that data through Studio. Uh, use queue items. I just created all the XAMLs like to show you guys here. Okay, here I just use the get transaction item. Let me build this first. Okay, just you created a use queue items workflow, and then now I wanted to get the queue items data from it. Like you have, yeah, get queue items, and then you have one other activity should be like get transaction item. So get transaction item is something which will be like a recurring kind of, like it will pick one by one. It will pick the first in first out kind of. So whichever the first added, and then it will pick the first one, and then it will process it, and then it will go for the next. And then when it comes to get queue items, which is going to give you list of queue items, where again you can loop those um queue items like in your automation. So let me use the get transaction item. See if we can drag and drop this. Yeah, you can see get transaction item. I don't want to fill all this stuff again. And then store this. It will give you a transaction item as an output. Yeah, I have created this variable. And then let's see what we have. Like, let me put a log message saying that transaction item dot specific content. Yeah, this is how you're going to access um, your queue data. So let's take name. So that's what we have, right? Let me access the name. Yeah. And then thing. Okay. So let me run this one. Then like you can see that it has picked the Pawan. So which is the first item. As I said, like it will be like a first in, first out concept. And then since the Pawan row is the first one, it just added and then it just picked up the Pawan row from here. Um, yeah, so let's go back to the orchestrator and then let me refresh it. Okay, so I want to explain the status of queues. So whenever if the queue item added, like if an item added to the queue, so the status will be new. Whenever it picked up, the status will be in progress. Once it processed and then successful, that will move to the successful stage. And then if it is failed, and then it will be like a failed state. If in progress transaction, in progress item is like 24 hours in the in progress status, it will be converted to the abandoned state. And if it is retried, and then you can see retried status. And then if it is, yeah, there is one more, like if since it is in progress, I just wanted to show you guys, remove and then delete it. So these are status. So why I'm specifying, specifying all those status. You can expect like a question or like related to status, what are the queue status in the like associate exam. Okay, so now let me show you guys how you can make this queue item successful. You have another activity called say transaction status. Okay, and then pass the transaction item. So you are accessing the transaction, you are accessing the transaction item from the queue. Once you got the transaction, you are just writing the name. And then once you write the name, and then you are making that transaction as a successful. So let's see how it's going to work. It will, since the first row it picked up, and then it will go for the next one. So always, if you're accessing any item from the queues, it will pick only the new queue items if you are using the get transaction item. Let's see this one. Should be in, yeah, Naveen. And then it just return the name of the name from the queue. And we have made it as a successful. The status is successful. Okay, this is how you can create your queue, and then you can add data into the queue. I just showed only bulk upload, then which I'm reading data table and uploading. But there are like two other activities: add queue items and then add transaction item, which you guys can like do experiment on it. And then what we have seen, like how we can access transaction or queue data in Studio, and then how you can update the status. Okay, so let's see how we can manage queue links across the folders. Same way, like how you did it in the asset when we're explaining the asset. Same way, go here and then manage links, and then I want this to be there in the HR, and then update. Let's see in HR, and then we have my first queue. Let's see like the transactions. Everything is just copied, like lifted and shifted into the HR folder. So that's how you can link the queues from across the folders. Okay, the next thing is, sorry. Yeah, we have seen the line, we have seen the live demo. And then, yeah, we have seen how to create queue, add data queue, how to consume data from the queue item status. I really want to like explain you guys how the queue mechanism works in Orchestrator and then Studio. And then whenever add queue item, so the status will be new always. And then it will be picked by get transaction item. Once it picked up, it's in progress. And then if in progress status is like 24 hours passed, that will be going to the abandoned state. And then if the postpone item, and then it will create it as another new item with the postpone date on the postpone column. And then if the transaction is successful, it will go and then make it as successful. And then if it is failed, the status will be failed. If the retry is enabled for that queue, then if system exception happened, and then if it is retried, and then it will go and then retried, and then it will create a new item, and then it will follow the same. And then none, it will go for the review and then verified. And then once in progress, or if you want to delete any of the queue items, you can directly go and then select that item and then delete it. The status will be deleted. So these are all the different statuses available in the Studio. sorry, queue statuses. Let's see next. Let's see in the demo of it. And then, yeah, what's libraries? Let's me go back. Libraries are, like reusable components where you can create a workflow, and then that workflow can be used across the projects that you can create it as a library and then use in the different automations. So let's see how we can convert or create the libraries. Okay, so let's take, I have created this project, and then there are like multiple automations which Acme function, Acme application, which using in our automations. Okay, now I wanted to convert this entire project as a library. So let's take how we can do that. So once you create this one and then export it as a library and then publish and install, I'm just unchecking everything here. Then I don't want to publish any of the use XAMLs, like main I don't want to as a library, then remaining I can do, then export. So let's take Acme application library, and then give a brief description something, then create it. We want to open it now. Yes, let's open it. So libraries and templates do different things. The templates will be your project and then your XAML files. Like we have RE framework and then document understanding framework. Those comes under the templates. And then we have reusable components where, like, let's take you have any applications in your like any business applications, HR applications are like that, using multiple those applications are accessing in multiple automations. During that time, you can create a reusable components, and then you can utilize those reusable components and across your automations. Okay, and sorry. Um, yeah, okay. So this is your library, and then I wanted to convert this one, the Acme launch. What's for Acme launch? We have URL as a input. So let's see what we can do. Let's open this project. I want Acme URL to be passed as a uh, argument or something like that. What we have done, it is a variable now, and then convert this into argument and save it. So now you can see we have an argument str acme URL. And then now I want that to be mandatory field. So let's right click on it, and then activity layout, then URL, sorry, variable. And then let's take, I want this to be required. And you can add your tooltip when they are hovering on it, and then placeholder something. So let's save it. Okay, so now we are ready. I'm just showing like only Acme launch how you can create its library. Let's publish this. Okay. Okay. So always it's good practice to maintain the release note so that you can see like in uh, each version what changes we have made. Then next, then custom package, and then there are two ways that you can directly upload into the tenant feed and then custom feed. So let me show you guys how you can do in the custom feed. Let me copy this. Next, then publish. Yeah. This is pushed successfully. And then let's go back to Orchestrator. And then, so let's keep this in the tenant level so that it can access in the across all the folders. Packages, and libraries, and then tenant feed, and then upload your package, browse. This one upload. Okay, so now it's uploaded, and then we can use this library across any projects. Let me show you how you can use it. Studio. Let me open a new project where I'll try to install that package, and then you can we'll show you like how you can download that package and then use in your automations. Close. Open the test. Okay. So okay, main workflow is empty. Sorry. Delete this, then save. Click on manage packages, and then go to Orchestrator tenant, and then you can see your Acme application library, which is 10101 version. This one. You can see the version here, which we have published. And then install it and then save. So what we have done, we have created a project, converted into the library, and then uploaded into the orchestrator, and then accessing into the studio. So if you have in the orchestrator tenant, if any of the developer working on the same component, and then you don't have to like rework on it. You just directly download that package from the orchestrator and then utilize in his automation. Okay, let me go to the activities. Okay, Acme library. Then you can see Acme launch, login, add data into the queue, storage buckets, demo, use queue items. All these XAMLs as a library and then reusable components. And now I'm going to use only Acme launch because we have configured only for that. And then it is asking for the Acme URL. And then let me get the URL. Again, you can create it as an asset and then get the value from there. You can do that way as well. Save, then let's run this file. You can see it just opened, then Acme page launched. So that's how you can create a library and then publish it. Next, there are other ways that you can do, like home and then create a library here. It's the same way. And then it will ask you like create all the XAMLs, you can do that. And then the same functionality you can do. Okay, that's how you can create the libraries. Let me go back to the presentation. Yeah, well, we have seen like creating library, publishing library, and then utilizing the studio and utilizing in the studio. So let me go to the live demo and then storage buckets. Okay, so we have another, like advantage or, another functionality in Orchestrator where you can store large number of data files into the storage bucket, and then you can utilize that in the in your automations. Let's take it's a storage bucket is kind of a pre-folder storage location which will store your large files in it. And in real time we can say like you have a PDF which is using across the multiple automations. Those kind of things you can store into storage buckets and then use that in the studio. And then let's take you have a machine learning model and then which is using a data set, which will be huge, and then you can store that into the data storage bucket, and then accessing in your automations, and then you can utilize that in your automations. So let me show you like how the storage bucket looks like. Space, and then storage buckets here, and yeah, I have created my first storage bucket here, and then which is empty. And then let me create one more just to show you guys. When you create a storage bucket, we have your Orchestrator storage bucket, and then you can connect to the Azure, then which required like API connections like Azure endpoint, all those stuff, and then you can connect to the AWS as well. So let's stick with the Orchestrator for now, and then let's say a second storage bucket. Sorry, bad spelling if I'm it. Okay, so the other thing I want to show you. Okay. Okay, you can restrict the permissions, whether it should be read only and then audit read access, something like that. The options which are available. And then, yeah, let me go back to the workflow. Okay, so there's a storage bucket demo, like the workflow which I have built. What I have done, so I'm just uploading a storage bucket a file. I'm uploading a file into the storage bucket, and then after that, I'm trying to delete that file. So let's see, like, so all it needs the file location. Let me so you have to give a file name, and then with the extension, and then the file path, and then which storage bucket you are trying to upload that data. So let me show you in the arguments. This is a file name that I'm trying to upload, and then the my first storage bucket. This is where I'm trying to upload that file to it. So let me run this file. Okay. Okay, so it's being used by another process. That's why it's trying to upload it. Let me close this. Rerun the file. Yeah, succeeded. And then my first storage bucket. And then you can see the file here. Now let's delete this file. So let me comment this one. And then uncomment. So I'm just trying to delete the same file from the same bucket. So let's run this file. You can see it's deleted. So that's how you can upload and then delete your storage bucket, and then files in the storage bucket. There are other activities that you can use when it comes to storage bucket functionalities. Okay, so we have seen delete, and then we have seen the upload, and then there are other things like you can list the, if you have the multiple files in the storage bucket, then we don't know the exact name of it. You can get the list of the files in the storage bucket, and then you can loop those, and then you can get the exact file, and then read the storage text, and then write the storage text. You can do that, all these functionalities. And you go back to the, yeah, same thing again. You can link all these orchestrated resources to another folders. Just wanted to show you that as well. So you can see that in the storage buckets, that's how like it just moved from my workspace to HR folder. I think that's all I have for today on the orchestrator overview. Yeah. Divya, I know like
No, no.
I'm
Yes, yes.
5 to
Sure.
10
No, that's fine.
late.
I was typing some answers. That's fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah, I think we are good with respect to the Orchestrator so far. We have seen how to utilize the storage buckets, data managers, how to utilize the assets, queues, queue items, different status of the queue items, what all we can see and what not. So there were a couple of the very interesting questions which we were, saying in the question and answers. A couple of them have been answered so far. And definitely, Guna will also be picking a few questions in the chat box and he'll be answering them too until we finish this sessions, right? So far, we have seen the studio and then we have seen the orchestrator, how to work, and we know how to do the automation job. So let's see about the integration services. What is the integration services? Why do we really need the integration services? And how does the integration services help us doing our day-to-day automation life easier, right? In the UiPath, we do have the integration services where we have the built-in connectors, built-in triggers, which will help us to do a robotic processing automation works with different third-party applications. Just to give you guys an example, we can integrate this with our Outlook, we can integrate this with the Gmails, we can integrate this with our Jira, whatnot. So we do have the access, we do have the available connectors, which we really do not have to create from the scratch. Basically, we can make use of the existing ones, and we should be able to go ahead and do the automation by using integration services. I think when we started the automation journey in 2016 and 2017, it was a very new, processes which we had, and I still have the remember where I used to create the robots just to monitor the emails. Basically, like we used to create the robots where you create one robot, you enable it, which will run for every 1 hour to check if there is any email.
Any
If there
email?
is
Yeah.
any email, then go ahead and process it. So we have all come from that stage of life, and where we have seen this integrated services. Definitely, this saved so many robots, so many processes, and so much of time also when it comes to the licenses, also costing, and also with respect to the development and also the resources time, right? So that's where we are utilizing the integration services, where now we really do not have to create any of such bots for monitoring of the any of the events, monitoring of any of the mailboxes or any such kind of incidents which has been created when it comes to the Jira or any such kind of things. So now the UiPath has created the out of the box services. What all you just have to do is you just go have your integration services licenses, drag and drop, and also just to have this integration services. So let's consider I have a very small, which we are gonna have a demo now. I have a very small automation. Let's consider the very basic is the HR process. Each and every company will be having a HR processes. In that, the screening is really important. There will be their mailbox will be having so much of loaded of emails on day-to-day life. And what they all have to do is they have to run the bot basically, or they have to do it manually, read all the emails. If there is any CV which has been attached, they have to attach, I mean, they have to save those CV. At the end of the day, what all the interviewer need is the CV, your CV, right? So what they all have to do is they have to save your CVs into one of the folder, and then move those emails from the inbox to the whatever the processed folder or something like that in your mailbox, and then you give the access that folder to the user, right? So for this, now we really do not even need the studio at all. So we can actually integrate these services by using a studio web itself. So all this, whatever we have seen so far, the studio integration of the orchestrator, it's all well and good. But now in this session, with respect to the integration services, we will learn about how can we utilize the studio web when it comes to the integration services, how easy it is. You really do not need to deploy any of the robots. You don't have to connect any of the robots with your missions, VMs. Nothing as such has been required for the integration services. So this is what we are gonna look in this session in going forward in next 30 minutes. So why does really the integration matters is definitely the manual data transfer prone to the errors. That we might miss couple of the emails. when even though there is an attachment. I think very recently we were seeing there in the screening process, the same company manager had sent his own resume, and while screening, the HR has been discarded his mail, and I was just reading those kind of articles in the LinkedIn. So to avoid these kind of errors, the manual errors which we might have seen, we will be able to utilize the integration service for sure for these kind of small automations, and also the even the very complex third party applications. And the benefits of the integration is definitely that streamline the operations, and it increase the efficiency and the accuracy. So like we all as a developers, we will be working, especially when it comes to the support the team. When if we are in the support team, there will be so many tickets has been assigned. As soon as the ticket has been assigned, we need to go ahead and assign to the specific developer, and someone should be keep on monitoring those things. Are these things really needed in our day-to-day life? No. Our integration services are a solution for those such kind of challenges, whatever we face as an organization, right? And definitely it enhance the collaboration between the different departments. Like it not only depending on the Jira, or might be a HR, or the emails or any such. Even if it is a different departments, if we have any of the kind of use cases, definitely we will be able to use the integration services, right? So can I go for the next slide, Guna? Yeah. What UiPath integrates with. So what are we, whatever the out of the box. So we do have two different concepts here. So one is the out of the box services, and another one is the custom connectors. So we will see what is the connection, connectors, and all of this in our next slides. But here, what are we already have, like a cherry on the cake. So we already have so many integration services available in the UiPath services now. So what all we do have already in place is we do have the ERP systems such as SAP and Oracles. We do have the CRM systems such as the Salesforce, Dynamic 365, and all of those things. We do have the cloud platforms like 365. We have the AWS, Azure, and the cloud services. And also we do have with respect to the database, APIs, and also the legacy systems. All of them is already available in the UiPath integration services. So you can just go ahead, search for the integration services once you have the licenses, and then you can search any of the connectors or any of the systems which you want to integrate. You can search with that specific system name, and you will be able to get those integration available which you can ready to use. So how does the UiPath enables the integration? As I said, there are already a ready-made connectors. It is not only about the connectors, you will also be able to see the templates also. So if you really do not know, okay, you know you have a connector, but you don't know how to utilize those connectors. The UiPath, in UiPath, we also have the templates as well. So you just use the template, you just do the configuration. And even to do the configuration, you really do not have to worry about the authentication, and also you have to save the assets somewhere and then get those assets. Really not needed, because all this service integration services, you just go, you link all your credentials will be safe. All of them has been encrypted in the UiPath cloud, and none of them will be shared to anybody, and all of them will be encrypted. Your credentials is always safe. So you can just go ahead and just go ahead in one click, you will be able to integrate of any of the ready-made connectors, and you will be able to utilize this. And the custom API integrations, yes, when if there is no out of the box connectors available, you can create your own. You can build your own connectors as well. And also there is a automation which you can do it cross-platform workflows. Yes, it is not necessarily all of the workflows should be in the studio web, or it should be in the studio option. So you can choose your own. If you want to create your own automation by using the integration services, you can do it from the scratch by using the UiPath Studio. Or if you want to just go ahead, use it from the template, you can use it from the studio type. Can I go to the next slide? Yeah. So what are the key features and the benefits of the UiPath integration services? So as I have mentioned in our previous slides, we do have the pre-built connectors. like the Salesforce, SAP, Office 365, Jira, and etc. It is as easy as it is. So for now, what we used to do is we used to create the RA framework as a consumer and the performer. So what we also used to do is first we used to read all the emails at the one bot, and then we used to read all of those things, and then we used to push those data into the queue items, and the performer used to pick those items from the queue item and used to process. So now we really can in some such cases we can really avoid the dispatcher, the whole dispatcher bot itself. So by using the integration services, what we can do is we can just go ahead, enable your integration services. As soon as there is a email in your mailbox with specific subject, or with subject which contains from the specific person, or maybe the attachments or any such kind of filters, you can add them into the integration services, and the queue item can be automatically added. So your whole dispatcher bot will be eliminated from your whole process. So we can directly go ahead and deploy our performer bots by using the integration services. And also we do have the API automations which simplify the interaction between the REST and the SOAP APIs, the orchestrators of the complex workflows, which made us very easily right now, and also the AI and the machine learning integrations. So we will be able to go ahead and use the out of the box AI models. But if you guys want to go ahead and your organization have your own AI models, and if you want to go ahead and utilize those UI AI models instead of the integration services, that is also available in the UiPath. So by using all of this, what is exactly we will get it from all of these things? As I have given you a couple of the real-time examples so far, we will be able to definitely increase the efficiency. So for example, dispatcher bot. So we have completely removed the dispatcher at all for all the cases in such cases. So we have saved so much of cost with respect to that bot, that VM, whatever we were using for the dispatcher, and also the time. So let's consider we have the email, and if we have our dispatcher bot was running for every 1 hour, and the email was 1 hour before we have received, so that 28 58 or 56 minutes, whatever which we saved when it comes to adding to the queue item. So the scalability, improve the accuracy, and the cost, definitely we will be able to save all these things when it comes to the integration services. So can we go to the next slide? Okay, so before we go for the demo, we do have the couple of the components. There are three main components in the UiPath. So one is the connectors, another one is the connection, third one is the triggers, basically. So the connectors, as I said, so the connectors would be the key point. So let us go ahead. Let me share my screen. Let me know once you guys are able to see my screen. Guna, is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so here if we just look at all these things, we do have the integration services over here. So when I click on the integration services, we do have the connectors, connections, and the triggers. So as we have seen the connectors, we will be able to see all these connectors. What are these connectors? So these are all the available out of the box connectors. Which one you want to go ahead and do the automation? Even if it is Adobe services, box, AWS services, we have so many hundreds of connectors which are already available. And when it comes to the connections, we will be able to go ahead and see the connections with respect to the drives. These are all already which I have used so far. So once you use the connectors and create any of the connections with respect to any of the connectors which are available, whatever past connections which you have created will be available over here. So you will be able to go ahead, edit them, and then delete them. You will be able to do all of those actions over here. And if you want to add new connection, you can create add new connection always, and you can search what exactly the connection you want. So here, so let's search for Gmail, for example. I'll select the Gmail, and here the authentication page pops up, and you will be able to just sign in with the Google. And once you sign in with the Google, you can select whatever the connection you want to see. Since I already have the Divyashree, I'll just, for the demo purpose, I'll select this. Then I'll click on continue. And I can give the access restrictions as well. What all I really want to give an access? Whether do I need to give only to read the emails? Should I give an access to the to change my calendar, to read it, and also edit those calendars? Also, just to do we give the access to just to read or to edit and to delete all of those things? So we can select any of this, and all these are the customized ones. So we can just do for now select all, and then I can click on continue. So my connection will be successful. And if you just look at this, the Gmail, so I have created this connection with respect to Kashyap solutions. So this is how it is easily. Easily you can create your own connection when it comes to the connectors. So when you go back and again come back to the connections, all your previous connections will be available here, and you will be able to plug and play with all these connections. So you will be able to manage the triggers based on this connection, or if you want to go ahead and create the connection, triggers with respect to this, you can do that. Okay. And when it comes to the triggers, we do have the multiple triggers. So for now, I have enabled only one, which we will be going forward and we'll keep that. We will be able to add the manual trigger as well. So we can see, just to give you guys an example. So I'll select again the Gmail. Okay. So this is the connection which is available. If there is any event, we will be able to select the event. If the calendar invite is created, if the email has been received, or if the email moved to the trash, you want to have the notification. Or if there is a calendar invite has been updated, you want to send as a message, you can do that by using a Twilio activities. And when there is a calendar invite received, so you really do not have to watch out your mailbox. You can just send out a message again to your phone. And if there is any existing record has been deleted, or there is any email received, you will be able to receive all these triggers. So you will be able to manually add this kind of processes, and you will be able to select this uh, whatever the automation which we have published so far in the orchestrator. You will be able to select that as well when we are creating triggers. This is for the automation which is already available in our orchestrator or in our tenant. If the orchestrator is already available, you will be able to enable the triggers in this way. So let's consider you do not have the orchestrator or any of the process at all in your machine at all. So you want to go ahead and create it all by new. So what I can do is, I have done this. Okay. And then, so let's consider, okay, let me log. Okay, let's do this. Gmail, I'll go back. So I already have this connection. So let's try to go ahead and have the same one which I have already created. Okay, continue. Okay, so I have all of these things. Then trigger. Let's let's go back to the add trigger. I'll create Gmail. I'll select the automation which we have. This is fine. Runtime. And when I have the email receipt, I'll have the add trigger. So let's do one more thing. We'll go to the studio. For now, I have deployed one. Let me just delete this. Yes. Okay. So now I'll go back to the integration services. Now I do not have any of the projects basically. So let me go back to the triggers. So let me delete these triggers as well. Delete. Okay. So let me try to add the new trigger from the beginning. So I can go ahead, workspace, go to the studio. Okay. I can create a new project. So let's create a new project. So I'll create a new project for Gmail. Upload file, Gmail, upload. Gmail. File created. Okay, email received. Okay, so now I'm able to go ahead and check these things very easily. So I'm able to go ahead, receive the emails by whatever the divyashree.gmail.com inbox, and I want to add the filters. So I'll go ahead, add the subject which contains the CV, and I'll click on or basically subject contains resume. I'll save this. So this is my trigger, right? So I can just go ahead, test the trigger. That's fine. I can also go ahead, have this, and then save, download the file. We can do the download file. Download file to my drive. So here we will be able to also see the filters as well. So what is exactly the type you want to go ahead and see, save this. So if you want to go ahead and say only the PDF, you can save that, and JPEGs, if you want, you can just go ahead and have those things. And then the output file, we will be able to go ahead and save it in the folder, our drive location. Okay. And also this should be enabled. Okay, here I'm here. Okay. So here, let's consider I do not have any of the folder for resume. So what I can just do is we can create one folder in my drive. Go back to the drive. I'll create a new folder called resume, and I'll create one. Okay. So I have the resume folder over here. I'll just come back. I'll just go ahead and I'll try to refresh it once again. So here we will be able to see the refreshed one. So let's refresh this once again, the whole connection. So here we'll go to the My Drive. And here I should be able to see the resume. So here you will be able to, this is how you will be able to go ahead and select this. Why this is disabled. Resume and save. For some reason this has been disabled. So I'm not sure why. Is it my mouse issue or something? But you will be able to go ahead and access this kind of resumes over here and save this. Okay. Not sure what is going on. So this is how you can actually go ahead and select your download files also. And once you have done this triggers, so for now I'll just disable this. I'll save this and I'll publish. Okay. I'll create email receive and I'll save this and I'll click on publish. So once we have enabled the process over here, we can just go back to the orchestrator and then go back to the integration services. Now we have the process established and we will be able to come back to the triggers over here. And then here we have the email receipt. This is the trigger, which I have just created few minutes before. I think that that button was disabled for now. Maybe I have consumed all the licenses. That's how that might be a reason. But you will be able to see the triggers. So if we go to the connections, go back here and then add trigger, connector, select the connector, Gmail, select. We will select this automation. So here we do have, and then when we want to have this, when the email has been received, and then we should go ahead and add the trigger. And our connector and the data process, data filters, everything has been integrated very easily, and you really do not have to worry about anything at all. So this is how you can actually create the connectors. So you can go ahead here, select your own connectors, come back here, select your connections, and you will be able to go ahead and add the triggers. So as soon as there is an email which has been received, your process will be triggered. So that's how you can actually create the process. Just get a minute. Let me send one of the email which contains the CV. Gmail option. I'm sending it from the different account to my mailbox. Option. Forward this. Divyashree. Send. And I can just go back. My automation will be automatically triggered from the studio. So this has been deployed. We can just go back to this. I have one of the emails. We can do the test. Okay, so let's test this. Test the trigger. One received email has been matched. So if you just look at this, the subject is the updated resume, which has been, I have just sent forwarded. And the body of the email contains so and so details, which has the attachment of the 2 counts. So this is how you will be able to go ahead and add the integration services. So I have not done anything. So what all I just did is I just go ahead, I selected the connectors in the UiPath Integration Services. Then I created one of the connection with to my account, and then I have started the trigger. So once I started the trigger, whenever there is an email, so I just came here, I just test the trigger, and I'm able to see this matching mail. So let me show you guys when I have received that mailbox is just few minutes ago. Right. So if I just go back to the mailbox, See, this is the one which I have just forwarded at 8:56, and this is the email which my bot has been ran for now. So if we just go back to the studio, we are able to see the same email over here. And if I want to go ahead and add this queue item, we will be able to add the same details to the queue item. So my performer bot will be able to go ahead and take those queue items to process them. So this is how easy it is to go ahead and have the integration services in place and enable your triggers. It is not only about the email received, even when there is a Jira ticket which has been created, if you want to go ahead and assign that tickets to somebody else, or if there is a very high importance, when the Jira ticket has been created with the high priority, then you want to go ahead and send out an email to your manager. So all of those are available by using integration services, built-in connectors, and in the built-in connections itself. So this is how you can go and explore your integration services. So it's all for the integration services for now. You guys can have any questions or any doubts, you can go ahead and ask them. Guna, you have anything else? Seems no. So we will try to download all your questions in the chat, whatever we do have, and definitely we will be able to go ahead and get your answers. If you not get either all the answers here, you can put them into the forum. You'll be definitely able to get those questions and answers, those questions to be answered.
Thank you, Divi. I hope everyone enjoyed Divi's presentation. I've seen there were a lot of questions about integration service and connectors. We have placed in the chat for you the user guide for integration service and also the product documentation. So in case you have more questions and you want like the real documentation, you can just keep those links. And in your spare time, check whether the info or the specific connector you're searching for, check it in the index within those links, because there is like everything that UiPath has to say on the product. So I'm pretty sure many of the answers will be within that documentation that you received, including the user guide as well, which is really, really helpful. For the rest, as we advised also for Studio, in case there are questions left unanswered, at least the questions that have to do with the product training, not with the logistics and the mechanism of the program, please, for those, start the forum query first, because the forum is an incredible information repository for UiPath products. So for sure, many of your questions will have already been answered on UiPath forum, and you will find more than the answer you seek for. You will find the context also, and you'll be able to engage also with the people who had the same query. The second option is that if you do not find that exact query in the forum, in an overall search on the UiPath forum, you can ask it in the dedicated program thread, which you have the link also in the chat. Ask it there and one of our mentors will answer it, but please go first through a forum query, so we do not repeat the information repository on the forum. It's also important for us to be able to handle the volume of information and the queries we have, and also for you, because the context and the details on forum will help you a lot, and they will go a long way into what the future of your learning. Now, you maybe find peers and partners for your learning journey as well on UiPath forum. It's a great ecosystem. Thank you to all our mentors today, and we really hope you enjoyed this session. It was a great session, split in two. So thank you, Lovely. Thank you, Pranav, for supporting the chat. Thank you, Divi and Guna, for the wonderful presentations. And see you next time. We will post again now the registration link in the chat for session 3. And from next week onwards, we are diving into the AI capabilities of the UiPath platform. So it will be like a whole new segment of the program. We hope you're ready for that. Let me just post for you the session 3 link so you can register now. And please also remind that you will receive a wrap-up email. I'm hoping many of you received the wrap-up email after session 1. Could you please confirm to us that you received it? Maybe in the Q&A, some of you who received the wrap-up email, because you will find there the recording, the deck from today's presentation. So it's very important. In case you did not receive the wrap-up email, but you were registered to the event, you can just go back tomorrow, let's say, to the event link for session 2, and you will find the recording and the presentation there uploaded. So there are 2 places, the email or the event link, where you find the entire information from today's session in order to go through it self-paced as well. Thank you, everyone. Please register through the link in the chat. I'll give you a bit more time to take the link from the chat, and see you next time. Also with our colleagues, Andrea and Diana, who are supporting you as hosts. Hope you enjoyed the experience. Bye-bye, everyone.